Caves, thank
Hey,
you.
hey, what's up, Alan?
I'm all right,
to
brother.
see you, man. Nice to
Good,
see you.
good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure.
And so, I was explaining to the audience before you jumped on just the value and the commitment that you've had as an artist in New York City for many, many decades, and how important it is for artists like yourself when you give a work of art to the neighborhood or to the city, and how it becomes part of our lives and it becomes really meaningful and important. And so, just for everybody to get a quick look so that you can get a reference of Caves and of his work. It's not something new. Uh, Caves, you've been doing this for a very, very long time.
Yeah, I'm 51 now. I've been doing it since I'm 10 years old.
And so you've been painting on the streets and handball courts like this and murals for, your entire adult life.
Yeah, yeah.
And recently, with things going on in New York City, the city launched a new campaign, which is to clean up New York City. And here we have the mayor of the city announcing this graffiti cleanup. And it made news all around the world that there was this effort to get rid of the tags and the throw-ups and all those things that sort of happened during COVID when the city was locked down. And so they launched it in March and April. And here you see an image of what they were talking about. But I guess one of the things that I realized when they launched this is that it wasn't just the tags and the throw-ups that were being lost, it was pieces. And so we moved into a sort of a time where the NYPD is sort of being destructive to works that are legally done, much like your own. And I want to show a little bit of a statement here. And so on April 10th, 2021, the NYPD destroyed Caves' Death from Above mural, a long-standing mural in Dumbo created with full permission of the property owner in August 2008 and treasured by the community. And then they had the audacity to proudly tweet about it and show that they were destroying the work. And so here for everybody to see is the tweet by the NYPD's 84th precinct. And they obviously, it looks like they enlisted other people to help. Who knows who they are? But this mural is a mural that lasted 13 years. And here is Death from Above so everybody can see it. And it's a magnificent mural. And so tell me about when you first heard that this mural was gone. What was your reaction? What did you think?
Oh, I mean, you're shocked, right? And you're devastated at the same time because, right, you create this piece and it becomes such an incredible self-expression where people embrace it, the neighborhood, other artists, writers, and it becomes a sense of pride and a sense of accomplishment that here's a piece that I did with my partner in painting for 25 years to just celebrate the fact that we're still around and doing it. And it was actually a dedication to our mothers because both Mike and I's mother passed away, and they were tough Brooklyn women, and we wanted to shout out and do something positive and do something, that would stand the test of time, and it did, right? So 13 years it was there, and it was celebrated in movies and TV and in your book, right? In books, and it's, and so it's devastating, and you can't believe it when, someone sends you a text or a Twitter, and it's all over, the internet that, the police are painting over your mural, and something that you got permission to do, and it's been there for 13 years. It's like, you know, you can imagine how you feel. It's like someone walking into the Brooklyn Museum and going over a cause, or the Bronx Museum and going over Jose Parla and getting away with it, walking out and destroyed your art. And this is just as important as a piece in a gallery or a museum. It's for the people. You know, graffiti's always been, you know, made a movement made by children for children, especially in New York City and especially Brooklyn, right? Like my hometown, my place of, you know, inspiration. And so this is something like, listen, you can understand in the 70s and 80s when you don't understand this movement that was born, and right away you look at all the bad, but over the years, obviously you see what graffiti and what street art has contributed to our culture and brightened up our day, you know, brightened up the gray, you know, drab, you know, grind of life. And here you go, American-made art form that is celebrated all over the world. And for New York City, it brings tourists. It makes plenty of money for the city because there's tours, there's movies, there's, you know, there's merchandise, there's you know, there's plenty of substance. So now in 2021, you would think that this art form would be understood and embraced and definitely respected, right? So that's where we're at.
And apparently not. And just for the sake of the audience, for those that don't know, you know, this mural that lasted for 13 years is across the street from the projects. Right. It's not in the fancy part of Dumbo. It's on the edge of Dumbo, across the street from the projects, across from some warehouses. And so there's not a lot of public art where this mural is. This was a gift, and this is before the wave of the murals came into Dumbo. You look around Dumbo now, and I don't know if it's Two Trees who owns most of Dumbo or whoever's been producing the murals there. There's Shepherd Ferry, there's Faith 47. There's lots of people that have come in. This is a predecessor to all of that. This was not a gift from a real estate developer coming in to sort of gentrify a neighborhood. This was a gift of artists to the neighborhood and doing something that they loved. And not only was it a gift to the neighborhood, it was also a very important collaboration between two highly respected artists in New York City that you don't really get to see collaborate in this manner anymore. So it was a very special moment in New York City mural and New York City graffiti history to see Revs and Caves create this piece. And it was so special that, you know, photographers from all over the world went over there to photograph it, including myself. And when I published a survey of the best graffiti on the planet, this was in that survey. And so this made that book because it was that much of an important mural and that important in the New York City landscape of public art and within the history of graffiti as well. And so here you see two artists that are mature, you know, in life and in their painting career, that decide to give a gift to the city and to a neighborhood, and then all of a sudden it gets eradicated. And and I get it. It was a blow. I couldn't believe it when I saw it online. And again, to bring it back to the pictures of the eradication of this, I mean, you see it here. This is, you know, a celebration of the destruction of the mural, and it's an incredible disrespect and an incredible disservice to the community. I'm really sorry that you're going through this.
But you know, I mean, it's important. I mean, and I'm so thankful for you to reach out, because it really takes the support of other artists and to get behind this, because this will happen. It's not only going to happen to, you know, it's going to happen again and again until, you know, something is done where artists need to help, you know, to support each other and get the word out that, you know, that your rights, you have rights as an artist and to protect your work.
I agree with you. And just for people to understand, you know, you have now launched a legal case against, it's actually a class action case with your attorneys to seek damages for the loss and the destruction of this mural, and the attorneys that you are working with have had some success with these kind of cases. And most recently it was with, or maybe not most recently, but a few years back with 5 Points, which was a different case in the sense that it wasn't the NYPD, it was the building owner that erased and destroyed all the works of art on this building. But we see a sort of pattern here of a lack of disrespect from authorities and from people that are in positions of power towards artists, and thinking that artists do not have a voice and that artists do not have recourse, which thankfully to the law firm that you're working with, which is it Eric Baum and Eisenberg and Baum LLP, that have taken this case on, that we really appreciate the work that they're doing to represent artists like yourself.
Yeah,
and just so that we sort of contextualize the malice and the sort of commonality of this. I mean, you have a picture of 5 Points, but if you could think of, for our entire art movement, and if you think of works like this, everything was destroyed. Everything was cleaned off by the city or erased by the city. So this is something that we've been dealing with as a art movement for a very long time. But the big difference is when you actually have permission. So here the trains were done without permission. They were cleaned, and they were turned into these new white canvases that of course got painted right back. And I think, one of the things that's also very shameful is when they use the same canvases that they don't want us to use for advertising.
Yeah, it's amazing. Street art throwdown.
Which is amazing.
Isn't that wild? Well,
it's ironic.
It's shameful because, obviously if you have children across the city, across the country, across the world that need a voice, like myself, came from a broken home, didn't have any, lessons, no outlet to express themselves. We found this, and we built this and created this, and when it's done out of the love and you see this movement get created, and no one stops to embrace it. What does that tell you about your relationship with your children? Like I'm a father of 4, right? Like the idea of these policies, like, do an artist have to die before you recognize them? You got guys dedicating their whole lives to give back to society, to their community, and create these works of art. Are they only important when they hang in a gallery or hang, at Sotheby's, or when does it, when does the real communication start to happen? And when does the real focus on inner cities, right, start to embrace what the kids and what the children are saying? That writing on the wall speaks volume if you just look at what, if you just embrace it and understand it. And, that's, we're professionals, and we built a career, and we've paid our dues, and we've done this all our lives. So to still go through this, I'm not 14, 15 years old anymore. You know what I'm saying? I'm well established, and this art form gave me a life, saved my life. So of course I'm gonna fight for it. Of course I'm gonna. I mean, this is something that how do you just turn the cheek? This was something that I paid my dues already. I've been there. I've done it. Now when I want to do something to give back, you just get, this is why policy needs to change. This is why we're at a time, especially after the pandemic. The pandemic, the city was dead. The only thing that had life was the writing on the wall, because obviously someone needed to express themselves. Like, so whatever is going on, the bigger picture, it needs to change. Like, we have artists need a right, have a right to express ourselves. Graffiti writer, street artist, oil painter, fine artist, as a community, as a society, like it's important. It's part of living. It's part of our First Amendment right. It's part of our American right.
And so what is it that you believe can change with a lawsuit against the NYPD?
That one first off, like I said, go back to policy, right? You're changing policy. And the right of an artist. Respect the right of an artist. I mean, those are the two most, that's the most common thing. It's plain and simple.
So what was really interesting when I read the case that was filed, that there is no sort of a guidelines for what can be painted and cannot be painted. There seems to be no training that the police department receives to know what's legal, what's illegal, what's allowed, what's not allowed. Like, they're just out there with paint trucks, just doing whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, I guess we'll get into that, right?
Yeah, and it's not, I think that, I'm really proud and really thankful that you're doing this work, because I have seen this happening for years now. Some years ago, it happened to me myself with a mural that I had in Manhattan. The police came over, painted it over. We made a big stink about it, and this was it was in the news. And the police came out, bad-mouthing the mural in the news. It was very, very strange to see actual police officers buffing a wall, And then recently, about a year and a half ago, right before COVID, Omni, Dan's artwork, who passed away, the last of his remaining artwork on the streets was on the corner of Houston and Bowery. No, I'm sorry. It was on Bowery and like Delancey or Kenmare, the corner of Kenmare. And he had that whole building, and we were working on trying to salvage it and purchase the gates where he had painted. And when I negotiated it with the building owner and went the next day to take care of the payment, that morning, the police came and painted that whole block, and all of Omni's last pieces, which were beautiful pieces, were all lost. And no one called them to ask them to paint the building. The owners did not know that it was happening. The commercial tenant did not know it was happening, and it's quite a shock.
Listen, it's like same with Revs. I mean, whatever you want to say about me, to me, he's one of the truest American artists there is. He's done everything out of the love and freedom to paint and give it away. He has never wanted money for it. So to me, I look at that like a Basquiat or Keith Haring, or like this is a cat that will go down in history as one of those guys. But let's give him his respect while he's here. Let's give him his flowers while he's here. Like, the one thing that we need right now is the support of other artists, other writers. We need support. If this is happening to you, you need to step up and join us. If you have something to say about it, we need your support, because I don't want to hear silence coming from other artists, because they might feel like it might jeopardize what they got going on. If you don't get involved with this may happen to you. Like, there's a lot of beautiful works in the city. Some of them are in the line of fire right now to be erased. So if artists don't really stand up and say it and represent, you know, there's no real community in this thing that we do. And I really I sincerely send it out to where we need the support of our peers, and to really get on board and go to your social media and have a voice and say something and help us fight this fight, because it's you know, I don't want to see another piece go away, because people complain about New York's changing. New York don't change, you change. Your attitude, you know, you get conservative when you get older because you get afraid. I understand. Listen, I'm a business owner. I respect and understand that people are afraid. They don't want their stuff destroyed, their property destroyed. They don't want. But at the same time, if you don't give back to the art programs for children, and you don't understand your kids, how, you know, what are we teaching them? You know, we need to support the artists, and we need to somewhat find a change.
So I like what you're saying, and so for all of those of you that are with us and that are watching this video, up on the screen at the moment is some information. If you'd like to join the suit, if you want more information, the information is on the screen. I encourage you to participate. Caves encourages you to participate. This is a big deal. It's a big deal that there are no guidelines for the removal of and painting over of walls, that it's sort of a renegade program that has no oversight, and it needs to stop. And so if you've lost walls, if you see them coming, you know, if you've lost your artwork, if you know of artists that have lost their artwork, spread the message and share this information so that the city can be pressured to make the change that they need to make.
Listen, it's an art form that we created, so we need to defend it. You know, and not see it go away. You know,
I agree with you, and the city benefits from it. You mentioned before that the city, you know, and neighborhoods benefit from it. Like you mentioned before, there's tours all over the city. The city themselves promotes this art form.
The Brooklyn Museum has cause, man. Like
the Brooklyn Museum has a graffiti show up now.
Listen, I went to go see the Cause show yesterday, and I couldn't get in because it was sold out. Like, that's how crazy, like the irony, like, you know what I mean? I said, let me go see Brian's work and pay my respect and post it or whatever. I couldn't even get in. So what does that tell you? It tells you that it's popular. It tells you that this is something that New York should embrace, and New York should love it, and stop treating it like a stepchild. Stop treating it like a street urchin. Stop treating it, yes, it's street art made by the streets that make New York the culture that it's the heart of New York City, man. The art, the music, the culture, come on, man. We need to respect it. We need to really get our heads out of our asses and stop being afraid and be like, okay, you know what? We need to change the policy. We need to embrace this. How do we work this out?
It's something that we got to stick together and talk about. Yeah. And I think in the courtroom will be a very interesting test for the NYPD and for the city to really define better what they can and cannot do. I think if you don't hit them in the pocketbook, if you don't call elected officials and speak up and use our voice, they're never going to listen. They're never going to hear. And so we do need to speak up and do need to rally around you and this moment and this opportunity to get some change to actually happen. And so I encourage everyone really to speak out, to use their voice, to also, you know, reach out to their elected officials and let them know that they're unhappy that this is happening. reach out to the mayor and let him know, whether it's on Instagram, on Twitter, on the phone. And so if the community sticks together, there'll be some change. And they don't want this to happen again. They don't want another lawsuit. They don't want to be part of this. But now they're going to have to defend it because they made a big mistake. And I'm very glad that you're standing up for your rights. And I hope that we can all stand with you. We'll stand with you.
Yeah, I need your help. I mean, I need the support. And you know, and I'm truly grateful that people have been coming out. I'm truly grateful for the lawyers. She's a tiger. Like everybody's really passionate. They really were hurt when they seen that happen. They were really, you know, it really touched people where like, hey, like, because there's a story behind all of this stuff. There's context. There's like, you know, you could just Google these guys' names on this wall and understand, you know, their story, their New York story, you know, their Brooklyn roots, and it's the fabric of these communities. It's like, you know, city kids, you know, making a name for themselves. And over the years, it's like you've proven that, and you've done that. So now it's such a shame to see it, you know, get destroyed, pointless, senseless. You know what I'm saying? You know, it lasted for 13 years. There was a reason why it was up there for 13 years.
It is senseless. And, you know, I wanted you to respond to some of the comments where people are saying it's about money. This isn't about money. This is about something bigger than money. But obviously you should be paid for this because it lasted and your artwork was destroyed, and there is a value that's attached to it. Whether you gave it away or not, there is a real value. But it's bigger than that. This is about making a statement to say you cannot do this. And you cannot go around and destroy the works of our movement, the works of the artists of our community. It's not allowed. And the only way sometimes that these city agencies understand is when you sue them or when you hit them in the pocket. And so that's what's happening right here. And so these are tactics that are typically used against citizens, you know, and now it's good to see you responding and standing up for yourself and for your rights. And so contrary to what I see in some of the chat comments, I'm with you. And I believe that this is a very important fight to have and to bring it to the city because the city is responsible.
Yeah, everybody gets a salary. I didn't get a salary to do that, to do that painting because it got destroyed, right?
That's right. And so Caves, I want to thank you for being on here. Once again, I'm gonna put the information up on the screen. And so if folks want to find out more about the lawsuit, find out more about participating, if you've had your work destroyed in the same manner, please reach out to these people. You're not alone. It's happening. More will happen. And Caves, thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. I appreciate the support. I appreciate everybody's support. And I hope to see you again.
All right, brother. Thank you so much, everybody. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us today for the Museum of Graffiti's Art Talk with Caves, to learn about his case, to learn about the destruction of his mural in New York City. We hope that that you could participate and stay in touch with this situation. And if you're in Miami, come and see us here at the Museum of Graffiti. Peter Pate, thank you so much for your contribution today. I see you in the chats, and everybody else that's contributed today. Thank you so much. Please come back to the museum when you're in town. We are open every single day, 7 days a week, and would love to see you here in person.
Thanks, Kay.
Peace, Caves. Thanks, everybody.